Olympic City, USA.
We are Olympic City, USA. No one else can be Olympic City, USA.
It's more than just a name to Colorado Springs.
Hopefully there's some extra pride in Team USA here in Colorado Springs.
It's part of our city's DNA.
DNA decades in the making.
We want to bring the headquarters of the Olympic Committee from New York City to Colorado Springs.
And as ingrained in the community as ever.
We have been able to see a number of events that have come to the city that we've never had before.
From world-class facilities,
a pool that is one of the most technologically advanced pools in the world,
to a geography that builds champions.
But if you make a habit out of living and training here, it makes you just that much stronger.
Join us as we take you on a journey through the culture.
They may be a 6-year-old just playing hockey for their first season, or they may be someone who's just in a swimming program for the first time. You're part of the Olympic movement.
And community.
Church groups, the Junior League, Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts, citizens from all over.
That make Colorado Springs Olympic City, USA. Hello and welcome to this special edition of News 5. I'm Diane Derby.
And I'm Bree Groves, joining you from the United States Olympic and Paralympic Museum.
For the next 35 minutes, we'll be taking you on a journey through Colorado Springs' strong and unique ties to all things Olympics and Paralympics, earning it the prestigious title of Olympic City, USA.
Colorado Springs has held the title for nearly a decade, but its Olympic ties, they date back long before the name was trademarked. And the partnership created between the city and the U.S. Olympic and Paralympic Committee is sealed for many years to come.
News 5's Maggie Bryan breaks down the partnership, what goes into keeping the name, and how everyone can enjoy the benefits of this investment.
It's clear as day on the sign welcoming people into Colorado Springs.
We are Olympic City, USA. No one else can be Olympic City, USA.
A title no other city can boast.
Why should people care about being Olympic City, USA?
It's important for a city like Colorado Springs to have a brand. If you don't have a brand, then people will make one up for you.
But what does it take to keep that brand and to keep the U.S. Olympic and Paralympic Committee headquarters here in Colorado Springs? Well, for starters, it takes millions of dollars.
$31.47 million to be exact. That's the total investment the city made in a 2009 economic development agreement with the USOPC. It keeps the headquarters here until at least 2039. The money has been used to move the USOPC headquarters to its downtown location on Tejon Street, renovate a building housing several national governing bodies, and make improvements to the Olympic and Paralympic Training Center.
That is what served as that galvanizing movement to bring the national governing bodies here, to drive venues to come to Colorado Springs.
Venues like the U.S. Olympic and Paralympic Museum. It brought in 85,000 visitors last year. The Training Center sees 130,000 visitors each year. Kimber says when people come to visit, they're adding dollars that go back toward promoting the city and its special events.
If you're staying in a hotel, renting a car, and all of those funds come right back into our community.
It's part of the city's Lodgers and Automobile Rental Tax, or LART. It puts a 2% tax on campground rentals and hotels and a 1% tax on car rentals.
Sports-wise, that money has been used to put on events like the 2023 U.S. Girls Junior Golf Open and the Broadmoor Winter Polo Classic. It'll also be used in the upcoming 2025 U.S. Senior Golf Open. The city predicts a total LART revenue of more than $10 million this year.
Let's talk about tourism.
I also sat down with Doug Price, the president and CEO of Visit Colorado Springs and the chair of the Olympic City USA Task Force.
What do citizens get out of the city being Olympic City, USA?
We have been able to see a number of events that have come to the city that we've never had before. Last year, we had the International Jump Rope Competition that was there. And right here at the Olympic and Paralympic Museum, they've hosted the Hall of Fame induction ceremonies last year. And we're also getting a chance to book new things into the future that we've never had a chance to do before.
What are some of those things in the future?
Well, some of those are really up for bid. So until they sign on the dotted line, we really are in a position that we can't talk too much about them. But we work very closely with the city and the Sports Corp of Colorado Springs to attract events, both for current year and into the future.
Looking to the future, Kimber says there's no indication the USOPC will be moving from Colorado Springs.
We went right to the source and asked the USOPC, you know, are we great partners? And they said absolutely. They have no indication, they have given us no indication of leaving, and they've made statements just to that.
Keeping Colorado Springs Olympic City, USA for the foreseeable future. In Colorado Springs, I'm Maggie Bryan, News 5.
That strong partnership between Colorado Springs and the U.S. Olympic and Paralympic Committee, it's one of the many reasons Olympic movements are such a big part of our city's history.
A history well on display at this museum. The partnership itself goes back decades. In fact, Colorado Springs has been the home to the committee for nearly 50 years now, after moving here from New York City.
Making that move happen required vision and a lot of work. News 5's Bill Folsom takes a look at how it all unfolded.
Olympic City, USA grew out of an idea that at its core aimed to champion U.S. Olympic athletes.
The whole purpose is to support the athlete and Team USA. And as a community, we should take enormous pride in that.
Nietzsche Hall did the PR and marketing for the bid that brought the Olympic Training Center and the United States Olympic Committee to Colorado Springs. Young and ambitious, she just started Preco, a PR and advertising firm. One day she got a call from William Thayer Tutt, who was the head of the El Pomar Foundation and a member of the USOC, International Olympic Committee, and amateur hockey.
Very eagerly, a little bit afraid, but I did meet with him. And he outlined a vision.
He explained the USOC wanted to pick 3 locations for Olympic training centers. He wanted one of them in Colorado Springs, and he had an even more ambitious idea.
In just a lovely way, Mr. Tutt said, but the real thing we're going to go after is we want to bring the headquarters of the Olympic Committee from New York City to Colorado Springs.
Tutt asked his nephew, Bill Tutt, a manager at the Broadmoor, to spearhead the effort. El Pomar, the Chamber of Commerce, Economic Development, and community leaders rallied for a go big bid to attract the USOC.
My first thought was, oh my gosh, what an audacious goal. And then my second thought was, this is going to be so much fun.
The Olympic Committee wanted to move fast, and Colorado Springs had the old Ent Air Force Base property at Uinta and Boulder Streets to offer. The location and the bid got a boost from the community.
Church groups, the Junior League, Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts, citizens from all over came and helped clean up and paint and get Ent Air Force Base, the first training center, ready for athletes.
The pitch happened in late 1976. Colorado Springs was selected in 77, and shortly after that, the U.S. women's volleyball team was the first to arrive for training.
I can see the chain link fence closed. I can see a sign about this big, a little wooden sign that said U.S. Olympic Training Center on it. And then the fence had barbed wire across the top.
There wasn't even a gym. They played in the city auditorium. The Ent location was presented for its immediate access and potential to become better. And it has grown into a world-class facility. Bill Hibble had just started with El Pomar Foundation and endorsed the bid. He later led the Olympic Committee and continues his involvement.
I think the Olympic investment has been, and the sports organizations that have followed it here have truly made a difference.
We knew it would be good for the Olympic athletes. We knew that the U.S. Olympic Committee could thrive here. And we just believed from the beginning.
The strategy had good timing, ready real estate for a training center, expanded training on local trails and open spaces, a central location in the United States, and affordable housing.
I think early on we all believed we could do it. And that's what made us successful. We were so passionate about it.
Visionary, bold leaders joined by community support are also big reasons Colorado Springs is Olympic City, USA. In Colorado Springs, Bill Folsom, News 5.
Millions of people are part of the Olympic movement in the United States, from athletes to coaches to volunteers and more.
And when we come back, we'll break down the structure of the Olympic movement and why Colorado Springs is at the heart of it all. Welcome back to this special edition of News 5. I'm Bree Grove.
And I'm Diane Derby. Hundreds of athletes on Team USA represent the Olympic movement that is made up of millions of Americans all across the nation.
Colorado Springs itself is home to a large concentration of that movement. And our News 5's Andy Cohen has a look at how the city leads the way for America's athletes, making it the perfect place to be called Olympic City, USA.
If you ever want to watch an Olympic dream develop in real time, look no further than the World Arena Ice Hall in February.
I think that's what the Olympics does for us, right? The Olympics and Paralympics inspire that next generation of participants.
Roughly 100 teams of more than 1,500 boys and girls from all across the country visit Colorado Springs with their families on President's Day weekend for a youth hockey tournament.
But now they may be a 6-year-old just playing hockey for their first season, or they may be someone who's just in a swimming program for the first time. But as a member of USA Swimming or USA Hockey, you're part of the Olympic movement.
USA Hockey's Pat Kelleher serves as the chair of the National Governing Bodies Council. A national governing body, or NGB for short, oversees an individual sport in the Olympics and Paralympics, with the goal of producing Team USA for the Summer and Winter Games.
It does almost everything for their sport. Here at USA Hockey, we cover from learn to play hockey to try hockey for free, all the way up to producing men's, women's, and sled hockey teams for the Olympics and Paralympics.
There are 51 NGBs that make up the Olympic movement, and 26 of them have their headquarters in Colorado Springs.
It's the whole Olympic movement. It's the base of the Olympic movement in our country. The USOPC headquarters, now the museum here as well, and then to have 26 national governing bodies call this place home, it's why it's Olympic City, USA.
The Olympic movement is a national movement. Some 16 million athletes, coaches, referees, and volunteers all across America participate in programs run by the NGBs.
USA Swimming, USA Gymnastics have large memberships. USA Hockey has 650,000 members across the country. So all of those people are connected to the Olympic movement.
And they share a common goal of developing the traits that will define America's athletes, both today and for generations to come.
So hopefully there's some extra pride in Team USA here in Colorado Springs over the next couple months with the Olympics and Paralympics.
Andy Cohen, News 5.
Those defining traits require mental and physical strength. And what better place to put those strengths to the test than the U.S. Olympic and Paralympic Training Center in Colorado Springs?
Athletes all around the country use the training center in many different ways. Some living here in Colorado Springs, training year-round. Others come to train before major competitions. But all who use the training center have access to some of the best resources in the world.
News 5's Peter Choi shows us how USA Wrestling takes advantage of its world-class facilities.
Under the breathtaking view of Pikes Peak, the highest peak in the southern Front Range of the Rockies, approximately 15,000 athletes train every year here at the Colorado Springs Olympic and Paralympic Training Center. I sat down with USA Wrestling Executive Director Rich Bender, who's been working closely with athletes training at the center. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. Yeah.
How thrilled are you about this Summer Olympics?
You know, it's funny. We had a staff meeting last week, and we talked about how this isn't the end of a quad, it's the beginning of a quad, meaning that we're going into Paris with a lot of expectations, but massive expectations for the next quad, and obviously hosting the games in LA in 28.
How's the Colorado Springs Olympics, Paralympic Training Center benefiting athletes, particularly for U.S. wrestling team?
Really important facility, the most used wrestling room in America and maybe in the world, with 3 teams training full-time here. And its usage is very high, but really impactful part of our success has been the United States Olympic and Paralympic Training Center here in Colorado Springs.
Working closely with each of the national governing bodies, the Olympic and Paralympic Training Center provides support for each sport.
I mean, Michael Phelps is famously here a lot prior to his Olympic Games every year, in a pool that is one of the most technologically advanced pools in the world.
Bender says 16 athletes from USA Wrestling are heading to Paris this year. He says motivation is the uniqueness of the center.
Obviously, a lot of places where elite athletes can train around the country and around the world for that matter, but few places aggregate the level of talent and attention to sport at the very highest level than the United States Olympic Training Center here in Colorado Springs.
I heard 15,000 athletes train here every year. It must be a very busy training center.
It's very busy, and like I said, it's probably the most important 35 acres in the world when it comes to Olympic performance and training.
You got to be there to witness the historic moments in Paris.
I don't think it's a stretch to say that this is the most important sporting event ever hosted. And you look at what's going on in the world and where we have an opportunity to prove that sports can transcend politics and really accomplish some pretty cool things.
Reporting in Olympic City, USA.
Go Team USA.
Go Team USA.
Peter Choi, News 5.
The Olympic and Paralympic Training Center offers a unique set of resources to our athletes, but the science and technology it brings to Colorado Springs, not the only things giving these athletes an advantage.
On the other side of the break, what living 6,000 feet above sea level does to your body, and the other resources in Colorado Springs that prepare our Olympians and Paralympians for world-class competition. Welcome back to this special edition of News 5, where we're taking you through some of the things that make Colorado Springs Olympic City, USA.
Our last story highlighted the U.S. Olympic and Paralympic Training Center, but the city of Colorado Springs has so much more than our athletes' buildings and equipment.
News 5's Piper Vaughn looks at some of the geographical advantages Colorado Springs has when it comes to elite training.
Colorado Springs is Olympic City, USA, and training in Colorado is like no other state in our country. I spoke with the chief medical officer for USA Cycling. He tells us that training in the Olympic City helps set athletes up for success.
We have the altitude, which puts a little bit of extra stress, makes your body have to get used to operating without as much oxygen, and you make adaptations, and that makes you stronger when you're back at sea level, like where Paris is.
Roshan says time and consistency are key for athletes to be able to compete on an Olympic level.
Because of the altitude, there's not as much oxygen in the air, and so your body has to get better at using the oxygen, and you actually increase your number of red blood cells to help carry the oxygen. It doesn't happen right away, but if you make a habit out of living and training here, it makes you just that much stronger.
Haley Batten has been coming to Colorado Springs to train since she was a kid. Now, as an Olympic athlete in mountain biking, she says this city is an ideal place for her to train.
The Olympic City, in a way, is perfect because you have the outdoor environment, you have this passion for outdoor sports, but also just sports in general within the community. And then to have all the facilities here at altitude in a beautiful place where you can run, bike, train, it really fits all the boxes.
Team USA cycling coach tells us that Colorado Springs is ideal for athletes, even outside of the training process.
All the facilities are there for indoor training, even the medical side of it. You know, if somebody's got injuries and things like that, the medical center's there. So the best of everything is here in Colorado Springs, and that's what I love about the place.
Here at the Hibble Performance Center, this oxygen chamber is lower than altitude. It's actually at sea level. And I think at this rate, I'm actually going to hit the PR for my next mile.
This room allows athletes to train at various altitudes to prepare them for actual competition conditions. Dr. Roshan's job in Paris is to keep the athletes at their peak and help them recover from any injuries. He says he and his team are prepared for the Paris Games.
It's a lot of responsibility, right? We want to make sure that we've got everything taken care of so they can really just concentrate on their sport. That means a whole lot of people are doing a whole lot of work to make sure that it goes off without a hitch.
Piper Vaughn, News 5.
Another thing that makes Colorado Springs the perfect place for Olympic City, USA is the beautiful U.S. Olympic and Paralympic Museum.
Not only does it hold precious memories and a wealth of knowledge from past Olympic and Paralympic events, it also holds memorabilia athletes from past games used in events.
And coming up, we're going to introduce you to some of those athletes that have donated that memorabilia to the USOPM and how their connection to this museum is much deeper than the equipment or clothing. Welcome back. Another part of being Olympic City, USA is showcasing Olympic and Paralympic history right here at the USOPM.
And in some cases, that history is a living one. More than 200 former Olympians still call Colorado Springs home.
And News 5's Eleanor Sheehan caught up with a few Olympians who have not only contributed to the museum, but to the Olympic movement as well.
Thousands of artifacts, including gold medals, autographs, and uniforms, are on display at the U.S. Olympic and Paralympic Museum in Colorado Springs. Many of them donated by former Olympic athletes.
I love the United States Olympic and Paralympic Museum because it houses the artifacts, the dreams, the hopes, the aspirations of so many of our Olympic and Paralympic athletes.
Paralympic athlete John Register is one of those athletes.
This is the prosthetic that I used to win the silver medal in Sydney, Australia on October 23rd at 10:30 in the morning.
John competed in the 1996 Paralympic Games as a swimmer and returned in year 2000 for the Paralympic Games in track and field. He says having a piece of his history in the museum reminds him of how it all came to be.
2 Olympic trials in the high hurdles and in the long jump, trying to make the Olympic team, combat Army veteran, having an injury to my left leg which caused its amputation, and then going on to win a Paralympic silver medal in the long jump. That represents this whole time continuum that people, when they see it, can say, if this guy can do that, what's possible for me in my life?
He hopes it will be an inspiration for people who pass by. Similar to John, 4-time Olympian Karen Ringler has a meaningful token in the museum, her javelin.
It's really special. It's one I tried to kind of put down for a while. It's not like the nicest javelin on the market, but it works for me, and that's just kind of a metaphor for everything that athletes should do, listen to themselves and kind of march to the beat of their own drum.
In 2010, Kara broke an American record with her purple javelin. 12 years later, she broke the record for a second time with that same javelin. She threw it again for the last time at the Paris 2024 Olympic qualifiers.
A last little run at maybe a 5th Olympics that didn't pan out, but was really fun.
Just shy of making her 5th Olympic appearance, Kara returned her javelin to the museum.
Thank you for letting me borrow my javelin back, and I'm going to let everyone else enjoy it throughout the Olympic and Paralympic Games.
1 javelin, 2 record titles, 12 years apart. Another elite athlete with memorabilia in the museum is Michelle Dussert-Farrell.
It's thrilling to have my leotard that I wore in the '84 Games here on display.
Michelle won a silver medal in gymnastics during the 1984 Olympic Games in Los Angeles, and she did it wearing this leotard.
It was in a bag in my basement at the house, and had not really put together a display of it, but when I was asked to loan it to the museum, I was thrilled because it's part of my history, but it's part of, I think, American Olympic history as well.
She says each Olympic artifact has a story behind it and a role in each athlete's journey.
Yeah, so when I see my leotard here, it's really, it's fun because I get to sort of reminisce a bit about my history, but also seeing now, several games happening. And of course, just recently, the US team just unveiled their new leotards, which one does have a Stars and Stripes theme and design.
A common thread between the three, Michelle, Kara, and John, is that they all live in Colorado Springs. Michelle worked at the museum until fall 2023, now working for the Olympic and Paralympic Committee, helping athletes prepare for the next Olympic Games. John is the CEO of his own company that helps athletes overcome adversity and assists them with professional speaking. Kara does freelance work within track and field. She hopes to pass along her skills to the next generation of throwers. All three giving back to the Olympic movement and the culture that makes Colorado Springs Olympic City, USA. For News 5, I'm Ellen Rorshian.
The museum is also a great place to bring your family and have some fun.
I brought so many family members here, so many friends here. It's just such a special place.
You get to try your hand at some of the sports that our Olympians will be doing. So stay with us and we'll be right back.
Thanks so much for joining us for this special edition of News 5. We hope you enjoyed learning about just some of the reasons Colorado Springs is Olympic City, USA.
And thank you to the U.S. Olympic and Paralympic Museum for hosting us during this special. They'll also be hosting a number of events during the 2024 Summer Olympics.
We have a list of those events on our website, KOAA.com.
And as always, if you are looking for local news and weather whenever you want it, be sure to try our streaming app.
Just use the camera on your phone to scan this code to get our News 5 app for Apple or Android devices and our streaming app for Roku, Fire, Apple, or Android TV. All of those apps are free to download and free to use.
Have a great day.